Welcome everybody. Welcome to another video on the leanTakt YouTube channel. I'm going to talk to you about the definitions, meaning what comprises a takt plan. Here's one of my favorite examples. You know, the formatting here isn't 100% perfect, like I see a little mistake right here, but it's a really good example of a real takt plan that has been used in the field for real production quite successfully, I might add. This project finished on time. So I'm going to take you through the definitions and help you to understand the different pieces and parts of a takt plan in this video today. So takt is the German word for rhythm or for baton. And it means beat or rhythm. It's an older word, and what it means is it's a time scale, like on a metronome. So on this time scale up here, you'll see March 2nd, March 9th. Basically, that's a 7-day increment. Now, since we don't work weekends in this takt plan, it's a 5-day takt time. Now, if we were to go into the detailed day-by-day takt plans and into those layouts, then maybe if these were in 3-day time scales, that would be a 3-day takt plan. 4-day, that would be a 4-day takt time. Right now, since this is formatted into work weeks, it's a 5-day takt time. That means, when does that drum beat? Every time that drum beats, then trades are triggered. They know to go into a different area. Like for instance, right here, the drum beats here, then the drum beats, then 9 knows that they're supposed to start. Then the drum beats again, then 10 knows that they should start. Then the drum beats again, then the second 10 knows that it needs to start. So that's takt time. The takt plan is the visual plan that shows the takt trains in relationship to each other per the specified takt time with columns of time and rows of takt zones. So this right here is a takt plan. So these, when I say takt trains, this sequence right here, this single sequence is a takt train, okay? And the columns of time, these are the time scales. That is the duration of time which represents your takt time. And when you talk about takt zones, those are the geographical areas. Those are the locations that represent those on a map. So a takt phase, this is a grouping. So like this right here is the structure. This is the interiors. This is the skin right here, comeback areas. All 4 of those are takt phases. Now, a takt zone, we already talked about that. That is represented, that's the geographical area that is represented by the specific takt train. So in this takt plan, that takt train right there, that's 10,000 square foot of interiors. That's on level 2, it's the first area. So takt train, we already talked about that. Takt wagons. These numbers are takt wagons. And I do want to make a point here that they can include multiple work packages. So like let's say K right here, that's clips and prep, insulated metal panels, and glass. Okay, so number 2, that takt wagon includes the work packages of fire sprinkler and priority walls. So those work packages, those are the specific scopes. Now there are work steps in each one of those that's standard work that has to be completed. The Stagger, I want to make note of this. So let's just take this example right here. Let's take the takt phase of the exterior skin. This has a 1-week stagger. So from the time it starts to the time the second takt train starts, that's a 1-week stagger. Okay. Flow is when something flows. See the I's here? They flow perfectly. The J's, they flow perfectly. The G's have some overlap. So while it still may flow, there is some overlap that we have to analyze. So the reason that we have the colors is so that you can see the flow. And even up here, look at the 4s. This is mechanical, mechanical, mechanical. Then they have to drop back to level 1, mechanical, mechanical, then go down to the level 7. It still flows. If I was to move this block down here, it would still look from upper left to bottom right. So we're wanting to make sure that everything's moving together. Waste is pretty common in lean language. Variation, that means a change or a difference. Sometimes, well actually in any takt plan there's going to be variation. Like let's say you're in July 6th and this activity number 4, it doesn't start on time. If that was delayed and pushed back, that efficiency gap right there would most likely be caused by variation, and variation is something that within a Takt Plan we want to see immediately. And so I hope that little example helped you. A resource efficiency, that means, do I want one trade partner working efficiently? The answer is no. We want flow efficiency. We want the whole thing to flow. So when we look at this and we look at the different trades, like let's take for instance the ones here. So the ones right here are wall layout and top track. So they're flowing. Now there's an efficiency gap. Now they're flowing again. Then there's an efficiency gap. Most of the time that trade partner would want to just go really fast at a diagonal. But what we're going to do is slow them down to meet the pace of some of the slower trades in this Takt Plan. We want flow efficiency. We want the entire system flowing. Now, throughput is the rate at which the material passes through the system. So let's actually take the exterior here as an example. Starting on July 27th, we finish these tact zones, these geographical areas on the exterior. We finish one zone every week. That means we can do a zone a week. That is the throughput. That is the rate at which we are able to produce this exterior. And so that's what the duration of throughput means. It's the rate at which material or items, or in this case tact wagons, pass through the system. The overall duration is obviously from the start to substantial completion and then final completion, so you see that here. Roadblocks, anything that gets in the way. When we use a Takt Plan, two things we have to do. We have to make sure that we are removing roadblocks and finishing as we go. That's the only way that Takt planning works, the way where it's going to be super successful. Okay, constraints. Constraints are things that we just have to deal with. Let me give you an example. So on this job, the design for underground MEP for slab on grade will not be done in time. So the first floor is constrained by the fact that this won't be done in time for design. Therefore, we have to move the production of the level 1 later on in the system. That's a constraint. We can't get rid of it. It's just something we have to deal with. Bottlenecks. These are your slowest trades. So right now, the exterior is a bottleneck, the mechanical is a bottleneck, and electrical is. So what we attempt to do is improve the efficiency of these bottlenecks, and when we can't, when we're going as fast as we can, we slow everything else down. Inventory buffers, these are the buffers of stock materials that we allow to come out by area when we're doing just-in-time deliveries, because that's the genius of the system. And so when you're reading these Takt plans, just know from a basic standpoint, and I'm doing a couple little fixes to this as I go, it's super easy in Excel, that when I look at this Takt plan, I've summarized the hot months and cold areas. You want to do the cold winter months. This is the year, month, the Monday. It represents 5 days in the Takt time, but I just have the date of that Monday. The title. For Thanksgiving and Christmas, I just block those weeks out. We're not going to get them. And I show in this Takt plan, the superstructure, the interiors, even though there's some, efficiency gaps in there, Thanksgiving and Christmas again. Then we show the Takt phase labels here on the Takt plan. So I love that. These arrows show interconnected ties, so I like to make good use of that. Vertical milestones like substantial completion, targeted air on date, power on date, those are my milestones. This over here is my legend, where I show what the Takt wagon numbers mean. I've got some sketches that I can put over here to the right. These are the guidelines, goals, and rules that I usually put in each Takt plan. Here's a legend again. I will usually do long strings for like tower crane, material hoist, procurement, elevators, CMU, things like that. So I really like to show how everything's interconnected. And so that's the bulk of what you're seeing here on this Takt plan. And once you get used to reading this, you can see from groundbreaking all the way to substantial, the entire project. And when you get into fresh eyes meetings, you can say, okay, are the reshores done here? All right, will I be able to start my exterior here? Okay, well, will this dry-in be ready for the interiors here? you'll be able to see the interrelatedness between all of it and get a better duration. This project right here was originally targeted to be done like January 18th and February 1st, but in the Tact Plan it showed that we needed all the way to March 15th, finished perfectly at that date. If we had tried to rush it, we would have entered into a crash landing like most construction projects do. So those are the basic definitions and components of a Tact Plan. There's a lot of different ways to look at Tact Plans, so there might be some things we didn't cover here tonight, but those are the basics. So hope this was helpful. On we go.